Hello everyone, this is Reza. In today's video, we will look at how to get started with Power Automate Desktop, which enables robotic process automation capabilities with Power Automate. I will show you how to install Power Automate Desktop, how to quickly build a flow to automate a process using Power Automate Desktop, when to use connectors versus desktop flows, and also look at the licensing of Power Automate Desktop. So let's get started with the video, but first, my introduction. So Microsoft Power Automate enables end-to-end automation. Power Automate is basically a software as a service process designer and orchestrator. It allows intelligent automation. So if you would like to automate processes around cloud services and internal APIs, in that case, Power Automate has over 450 plus connectors, as well as the ability to create custom connectors. In scenarios where you want to work with documents, forms, invoices, images, add the power of AI to process forms, detect objects, perform optical character recognition. The Power Platform has AI Builder that Power Automate can natively integrate with. And finally, to work with legacy Windows, web, and terminal applications that have no APIs, that scenario is where robotic process automation plays an important part. That is RPA or UI automation known as desktop flows, and Power Automate Desktop allows us to build those robotic process automation jobs. Power Automate Desktop enables RPA capabilities in Power Automate. RPA makes it possible to automate workflows across modern and legacy applications on your desktop by recording the actions such as mouse and keyboard clicks and replaying those actions. The pad designer experience comes pre-built with a lot of actions that you can just drag and drop and orchestrate your desktop flows. You can create these desktop flows, interact with everyday tools such as email and Excel, and work with any modern or legacy application. Lastly, Power Automate Desktop is not the desktop version for Power Automate. You only build desktop flows, which is your robotic process automation capability-based flows in Power Automate Desktop. For automated flows, instant flows, button flows, your cloud flows, you would still build them in flow.microsoft.com. Another key aspect to understand is when to use connectors and when to use desktop flows. Now, connectors, which basically the cloud flows can interact with, provides higher reliability than desktop flows. They are preferred when APIs are available. On the other side, desktop flows are easy to create. However, they should be preferred only when you are dealing with scenarios which have no APIs available. For connectors, there is no dependency on availability of a device. Desktop flows, there is a dependency on a device that has to be available for the robotic process automation job to run. In case of connectors, you can build custom connectors in case none of the existing 450 plus connectors meet your needs. However, building a custom connector could be a complex undertaking for a lot of organizations. On the other side, desktop flows are quick to build, easy to test, and there is an immediate return on investment. Modern apps that have APIs leverage connectors. Desktop flows are meant for legacy apps that have no available APIs. Ideally, when you begin automating any process, look if there is an API available. If yes, and if there is a connector available or the option to build a custom connector, go ahead and do that. If not, then desktop flows or Power Automate Desktop is your option. When your robotic process automation runs, you can run it in two modes, in an attended fashion or in an unattended fashion. Attended means it requires human supervision. Someone needs to be in attendance in order for that flow to run. On the other side, an unattended flow more acts like a bot because it does not require any human supervision. So attended requires a user to be logged in and uses an existing Windows user session. Unattended desktop flow automatically signs in to the target device, and once the automation is complete, it will sign out once the job is complete. In attended mode, the user must be signed in and the account should match the name of the user configured in the connection. In the unattended mode, the target machine requires all users to be logged out. Attended flows are more like an on-demand assistant. Unattended UI flows are more like a background job. Attended UI flows are best for personal automation or personal productivity scenarios. Unattended UI flows are meant for enterprise-grade automation. Coming to the licensing aspect, we have the free version of Power Automate Desktop. This was announced recently at Microsoft Ignite. So PAD will be available to Windows 10 users at no additional cost. Yes, you heard that right. No additional cost. That's free. It will be included in Windows Insider Preview builds in the coming weeks. What is included with the free version? You get the full Power Automate Desktop features. What is not included is you do not have the ability to share those flows or integrate them with cloud flows, connecting with data connectors, AI Builder, and more. For the licensed version of Power Automate Desktop, there is the Power Automate per user with attended RPA plan, which basically allows you everything that the free version does, plus all those options that are not included in the free version. That is sharing your flows, integrating them with cloud flows, connecting with all those data connectors, leveraging AI Builder, and a lot more. There is also the option of adding the unattended RPA add-on, which allows you to automate your backend processes without requiring any human interaction. Now let's look at a demo of Power Automate Desktop in action. So to begin with Power Automate Desktop, just head over to the link aka.ms/getstarted-pad. And this takes me directly to the web page where I can download Power Automate Desktop for free as long as I am a Windows 10 user. And right here, I can see that message. I have the option to download Power Automate Desktop. I will go ahead and click download. This now starts downloading the executable file that I can run on my machine. Go ahead and open the file. And this will now walk us through the setup of installing Power Automate Desktop. I will click on next, agree to the conditions, click install. And this now will start installing Power Automate Desktop. Once the process is complete, I am ready to go ahead and launch Power Automate Desktop. So once the application launches, the first thing is I will go ahead and sign in using my Windows account. Once I have my email address plugged in, I'll click sign in, provide my password, and this will now lead me in straight to Power Automate Desktop, wherein I can start creating flows. So I will click on new flow, give my flow a name, and for the demo purpose for today, we will build a desktop flow to automate the process of backing up my flow run history. So I will click create, and this now will open up the Power Automate Desktop authoring experience for me. And in this authoring experience, in the Actions tab, we have a list of actions that we can choose from for creating our automation scenarios, from variables, conditions, looping, web automation, desktop automation, and a lot more. In the main section is where each step that we add as part of the automation will be recorded, basically our actions. And on the right hand side is where we can look at our variable. Now in my case, I'm recording the historical information of a flow which is available, of course, on the web. So for that, right here on the top, we have a web recorder. So I will go ahead and launch this. And this now provides me options to choose the browser of my choice. In my case, I'm going to leverage Microsoft Edge and click next. Now in my case, because I don't have the browser extension for Power Automate Desktop, I can go ahead right here and click on Get Extension. I will go ahead and turn on this extension for my Microsoft Edge browser. Next, I will go back and click on the web recorder, select Microsoft Edge, click next. And this time, since I have the extension applied, I do not get that message to get the extension. So now I can go ahead and start recording the actions. In my case, I want to back up the flow run history. So for that, I will head over to flow, go to my flows. Here is my flow. Only the 28-day run history is maintained due to GDPR requirements, but I can click on all runs And this shows me all the run details of my flow in the last 28 days. And I can back it up by clicking on the link here to generate the CSV file. Now this is the step that I want to automate. So I will click on start recording. As you can see, this will now record every action that I take as part of my flow. So I will click on this link, which is get CSV file, which now starts generating the file for me. So there has to be a wait action wherein the desktop flow waits for this link to be generated. If I right click here, it gives me an option that says extract the value. I need that link where this file is available for me to download. And that is available right here in this href, which has the direct link to that file, so I can download it and store it in my system of record, in my case, my OneDrive. So I will select this, and now if I look at the web recording, it has grabbed all those steps that I just took. I will go ahead and click finish. I will close my browser, and this has recorded all those steps for me right here. Now if I was to go ahead and just play my desktop flow again, in this case it has launched the URL, it has clicked on get CSV file, but you will note right here that it has errored out because it was trying to get the href of that anchor element, but that anchor element takes time to generate on the page. So what do I do in this case? In the actions tab, I will search for wait. I will select the action here called wait for web page content. I will select, drag and place it right here. So it will wait for my browser instance to contain an element, and which element? That anchor tag. And Power Automate Desktop even shows me the image of the snapshot that it took while the recording was going on. So that ensures that I'm selecting the right element. I'll click select and click save. So now it will wait for that specific link to appear. But this needs to happen before it gets the href. So I need to move my actions here. I can just select and drag, or I can go to the 3 ellipses and move my actions up or down. So now my actions are ordered right. And if I go and play my recording again, this time when it accesses that URL, which is the flow run history, and clicks on get CSV file, the flow will not fail because it is waiting for that link to appear on the web page. And once it does, it goes and grabs the href element for me, and it's grabbed it right here. You can even see those variables that the flow has generated on the fly. Now in my case, once it grabs that link, I want to do 2 things. One, I want to close my browser. So for that, I will search for an action called close, and there is a function called close web browser. Select, drag, drop, give the browser context, click save. That's good. And finally, I would like to add that file, the link to which is right here in this variable called href, and I would like to move it to my OneDrive. Now for that, if I search for download, there's an action called download from web. So I'm going to add this right here, and the URL for this would be nothing but that href value. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to say yes, go ahead and get it, and save the response. Because I know that it's going to be a file, I'll say save it as a file. It's asking me for the name of my file. When you click on that get CSV file link, every time it generates a unique link based on the date and time you're downloading it. So my file name is going to be unique. So I will keep the original file name. You can even go ahead and define a custom file name if required. Now my destination folder, when I select folder, I already have OneDrive installed on my machine. So I'll go to my OneDrive. I have a folder called backup flow history. I will select that and click OK. So it'll go ahead and download that file and save it directly to my OneDrive folder. So I'll click save. Now if I go ahead and run this flow, this will now go ahead, launch my browser, click on the get CSV file link, wait for that link to be generated, grab that link, close the browser window, and then go ahead and save that file to my OneDrive. And it's gone ahead and completed it. And right here is my OneDrive folder for backup flow history. Here is that CSV file that has been backed up. So this has my entire flow run history, all the actions, all the details in that flow, every step that took place is right here. so I can maintain this in my system of record, in my case, OneDrive. Now I can also define input and output variables here as part of this flow. So I have the option here for variables. Let me go ahead and add a very simple input variable. I'm calling it my var flow history links. So I just need to give the history page URL. The data type will be text. Give it a description and click create. Now let's say I would like to go ahead and associate this link when I'm launching my flow. Well, in that case, when I select the launch action, instead of this hard-coded URL, I can change this now with my input variable, which is my flow history links. I'll click on save. In Power Automate Desktop, if I run this flow, it's going to ask me for that input variable right here. And this time, let's say I would like to back up the run history of a different flow. All I have to do is just grab the link, paste it right here, click OK. And now Power Automate Desktop is running. It goes ahead to that flow's run history, clicks on that link, waits for that file to be generated, grabs the link and puts it in my OneDrive. And I have my OneDrive open here so we can see it live once it downloads it. There you go. That's my latest flow's run history stored right here. Now, in order for me to run this flow with the free license, I have to come here and run this flow manually. Yes, it's automation, but I have to still run it manually. The key would be to tie this flow with a cloud flow. Basically, I can run it on a schedule. Or maybe I can run it based on an event occurring in my system of record. Now, to integrate cloud flows with your desktop flows, if I head back to flow.microsoft.com and this time go to My Flows, I have the option here for desktop flows. Now, because I want to see my desktop flows in the cloud portal, because I want to integrate it with my cloud flows, I would need a license. Now, for my scenario, I will just start a free trial license. I already had a trial, so I can extend my trial. And the moment I have a valid license, in my case, a trial license right now, I can see that flow that I created in Power Automate Desktop right here. And this is my flow. I can even see a history of that flow going forward from now, once that flow runs. Now that I have the context of my desktop flow right here, let's go to a cloud flow and create a new flow that runs on a schedule. So in my case, let's say I'm going to run my flow every day. I will give this a name. I will click create. And this now creates a cloud flow for me that runs on a schedule. Now, how do I call my desktop flow from my cloud flow? Well, right here, if I search for desktop, I get the connector for desktop flows. And this has the action here to run a flow that was built with Power Automate Desktop. Bear in mind, this requires that premium license. I will select this. And this now is asking me to install a gateway. That's because the cloud flow has to talk to my machine. And for that, I need to ensure that I have the gateway installed. If I click on that new gateway link, it will download an executable file for me wherein I need to install a gateway so that my cloud flow can interact with my desktop flow. So I've run the executable for the gateway installation. I'll click install. And now the installation process begins for my on-premises data gateway, which is required in this scenario. Now it's asking me for the email address to use with the gateway. I'll provide my account, click sign in, provide my password. This is the first time I'm registering my gateway, so I'll register this as a new gateway on my machine. Give it a name, give it a unique recovery key, and click configure. Once the gateway is online and successfully installed, go back to Flow, and this time I see my gateway option right here. I'll select that. Now I need to provide my credentials to connect to the gateway. And once the connection is successful, you can select your flow. In my case, that's my backup flow run history. And then I can pick my run mode. In my case, I'm going to run it in attended fashion. And this is that same input link that I can provide right here. So I can make this dynamic. Imagine getting data from a system of record and providing that information as an input to a Power Automate desktop flow. This is where I can pass that input, save my flow, and then run this flow, which is my cloud flow, which will basically trigger my Power Automate desktop flow. Extremely powerful use cases can be created in these scenarios, but this requires the full premium license. If you enjoyed this video, then do like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for watching.